If we lose our job, we usually do two things. We panic and we rush and update our CV. And this is exactly what you should not do. I'm Elena, manager and leadership mentor, and in this video I will walk you through the steps that I would take if I happen to lose my job. It's not a very happy topic, so instead of a happy face, let's have a grumpy face. The very first step you need to do is to assess your situation and understand your rights. We don't panic, we take a deep breath and we try to figure out in what type of situation we are in, because not all losing their job type of situations are the same. You can be laid off, you can be asked to resign, your contract may not be renewed, or you may be fired due to a cause. I don't know why I'm doing this, due to a cause. And your rights and your options and your next steps will be different in all of these situations. If you are laid off, it can happen because your company is doing a restructuring, or they do a cost-cutting exercises, or any other business reasons. And in Europe, for example, there is a often mandatory notice period and a severance pay. But I know that in US, the layoffs can be much more brutal with like an immediate effect. And as far as I know, there is no law that would require a company to pay you something in case this layoff will happen. If you're asked to resign, you should be very careful, because there are cases when companies pressure their employees to resign voluntarily. And in case you do that, you may actually lose your unemployment benefits and sometimes even an option of severance pay. If you are fired for a cause, usually your options are even more limited. And I know that in Europe, the employer has to prove this cause first. But as far as I know, in US, the contracts are, I think it's called at will, which means that they can fire you even without a cause. And there are cases when just your contract ended. You had a fixed term contract, it's ended, and usually how it ends is written in the contract. But as far as I know, there is usually no severance pay. It just ends and that's it. If you are in a country on a work visa, losing your job may affect your legal right to stay. So you need to figure out, according to the law of the country you're in, do you have like a grace period or a period of time? How long basically can you stay in the country after you lost your job until you will need to either find another job or leave the country? And this period of time will be essential for your further planning. Next step is we check our legal rights. We don't assume anything. We don't trust the information from a friend of our uncle who said that this is how this law works. No, we do our research, or we ask experts, and we figure out for our country, for our situation, the type of losing a job that you have in, what is our legal rights? We take our contract, we read it carefully, we look at what are the conditions of termination, what is notice period, we look at what is severance pay. We also look at what is the severance pay in the country that you're in, because maybe there is some severance pay that is defined by the country. Then we look for unemployment benefits in this country, because most of employees that were laid off qualify for unemployment benefits. I know that in US it can even vary state by state. So within one country, different conditions. So do the research and see what you can apply for in your situation. Next, you review your exit package and your final paycheck, because once you understand your legal rights, you can properly assess what your employer is offering you. Your final paycheck should have the all unpaid salary, your unused vacation days like PTOs, and any bonuses that maybe you already earned with the time that you worked in a company. Check if you have any non-compete clauses in your contract. So basically, if there is any restriction on in which companies can you work next. And if possible, get a reference letter. So try to secure a positive, hopefully, reference letter, because it can help you in your future job search. So here are the key takeaways. Before panicking, you can panic if you want, but just a little bit later. And before signing anything, you need to know what exactly is your specific situations, what legal protection do you have, and whether or not you need to act quickly to secure your visa in the country. Now, step 2 is, no, it is not updating your CV. We're still far from that. Step 2 is to build your immediate financial survival plan. Because once you understand your legal situation, it is time to get clear on your financial reality. Look at it as a step of buying yourself time, because with the secured finances for a certain period of time, you can focus on looking for the next career step with a little bit of a hopefully calm mind. First, you need to calculate how long can you stay afloat. Before making any big decisions, you need to figure out how much runway do you have. And here's how you can do it. The very simple and robust way. Take all of your reserves, all of the cash that you have, maybe emergency funds, any savings in an easily accessible form. Take your final paycheck that should have your unpaid salary, PTO, whatever you have there. Check all of the severance pay if you are eligible for any. And also look at all of the unemployment benefits that you can apply for and you can kind of claim. Take all of that and do a very simple math. Divide it by your monthly expenses. And this, give or take, will tell you how many months you have. Next, what you need to do is to apply for unemployment benefits. And you need to do it ASAP because there is no winning in postponing it. And I know that in many countries, unemployment benefits are not paid retroactively, so the sooner you apply, the more you will be eligible for. Understand the amount, the duration, and also the potential restrictions, because I know that in some countries, if you apply for these governmental unemployment benefits, they tell you that you have to actively look for a job, and sometimes depending on your work experience and how many years you work in education, they can tell you that any job will be kind of suitable for you. So check it carefully. And also some visa types are not eligible for unemployment benefits. Or if you apply for it, it then affects what types of visa can you claim for and ask for in the future. So especially if it's not the country where you were born, check the immigration law. Step 3 is deep breath, cutting unnecessary expenses. Because once you learned what is your financial runway, you can extend it by reducing your spendings. All of this uncomfortable, unsexy stuff like canceling your subscriptions that maybe you would even enjoy, but for a period of time you can live without. Or calling your phone provider or like the internet provider or maybe even insurance company and see if you can negotiate or pick a lower rate option. Sometimes when we lose our job, we have to consider the housing adjustments because the paying our rent for many of us is one of the biggest expenses that we even have in our budgets. So we prioritize essentials, which is rent or mortgages, critical debt payments, utilities, and food and groceries. These things come first. And think about it as a chance to buy yourself time for a job search without a financial panic, basically. Now, this section is specifically for US viewers because I live and work in Europe, in the Netherlands, and my health insurance works very differently. But it seems like, based on the research that I did, is one of the most critical things that you need to do if you lost your job is you need to secure your health insurance, because often company pay for your health insurance, and the moment you leave, you're basically lost it. It seems like you have a few options here. You can keep using the same healthcare insurance and pay it yourself, which can be expensive considering that your company paid for that. You can pick a more affordable health insurance that is a little bit simpler, or sometimes I know if your partner has a health insurance in their company, they can extend it and include yours as well. But with full honesty, the topic of health insurance in US is like so scary and complicated, and I know that there are people who don't even have these options on the table. They cannot afford any type of health insurance, which for me as a person who lives in Europe is a little bit scary to think about. But my point is to inspire your thinking in the direction of your goal is to secure your financial side and like an insurance side as much as possible in your situation for you to focus on the job search and not on surviving, because this is the goal. Step 3 is still not updating your CV. It is to do a job market reality check. Because before we run and apply for all of the jobs that we see open, we need to see realistically what job market currently looks like. Is there a demand for our role? Which companies hire for which roles, of which seniority, what are the usual requirements? Have there been any mass layoffs that sometimes make the job search even harder? Or maybe are there any sectors where your skills are in high demand right now? Because if the jobs that you aim at are for some reason scarce right now, maybe you need to adjust your job search strategy, look for other roles, or like broaden your search. I also strongly recommend to do a salary research, because especially if we worked for a company for a long time, sometimes our salary is not actually in the benchmark, because like in a company sometimes they give you a very small incremental salary promotions, and actually on the job market you can ask for a much higher paycheck. Also research the hiring timelines. How long does it usually take for people to start a new job and to go through these hiring processes, because it helps with you managing your expectations. You will know, give or take, how much time it will take for you. And understand your competition. If you see that the job market is flooded, there are a lot of people with your skill set and a lot of people applying for the same jobs and the competition is insane, then it usually means that maybe you can invest a bit more effort in the networking and maybe looking for referrals, like some of the ways that will help you stand out in the competition in this process of looking for a job. Step 4 is finally to start your job search and activate your networking, because right now, after you research the job market, you're ready to launch your efficient and strategic job search. Refresh your resume, your LinkedIn page, your portfolio if you have one. YouTube is full of videos dedicated specifically to this part, but in a nutshell, make sure that you have your results in your CV and in LinkedIn, hopefully measurable results, your achievements, describe your skills, your projects according to what the modern job market needs. And also don't forget to optimize for an automatic kind of applicant tracking systems, because this is how many companies, like in reality, they use the systems that look for keywords, and you need to know what are the keywords for the jobs that you aim at. Now, this is critical, and usually this is the least pleasant part of it, but you need to tap into your network. You need to let your connections know that you're open for opportunities. And there is this functionality on LinkedIn, like open to work kind of thing. If you know, you know. And I have like very mixed feelings about it. I'm still not sure if it helps or harms you. But even this aside, for people that you know that can potentially help you, reach out, ask if they can maybe recommend you to their company that they currently work for, because referrals are super powerful, and they don't guarantee that you will get hired, but at least they guarantee that your CV will be at least checked, because there are job postings where hiring managers and recruiters receive hundreds and hundreds of CVs, and sometimes they cannot even physically look at each one of it. So referrals are very powerful, very good. Reach out and don't hesitate to ask. There is no harm in a polite and nice kind of ask. Hey, I'm interested in this job posting. Do you think you can recommend me? Finally, and I know that there are different opinions here, but I'm an advocate of rather applying strategically, not like desperately sending your CV for any job posting that you see. Not because they can reject you. I mean, there is like, technically you can say, yeah, I can send my CV to all of the jobs, and the worst thing that happen is that they will reject you. So there is no harm in that. But I also don't think that it's very good for yourself and for your job search, because it does something to your mind when you receive 12 rejections every single day. So I don't think that you need to only apply where you 100% qualified. I think 70-80% is still pretty okay. But I'm a little bit on the spectrum of targeted applications, not like a desperate mass DDoS attack type of applications, if that makes sense. Step number 5 is explore alternative income strategies. Because if you lost your job unexpectedly, time kind of works against you, so it may take time for you to find a new full-time job. And if there is a chance for you to ease it, to maybe find a temporary, like a freelance or side hustle that can give you at least some money to extend this period for a job search, we need to use it. It can be freelance projects or like contract gigs, or I know people register on platforms like Fiverr or Upwork, where basically they kind of sell their time and skills. And you may think that, oh yeah, this may be applicable for designers or editors or something like that. But that's actually not the case. I know people from a very kind of traditional business functions like marketing, for example, and they sell their consulting services. So you can also do like coaching or mentoring or consulting in a wider sense. And it can also be like a freelance project for you, even if you've never done this before. Even if it's not a long-term thing, I saw people who it actually helped a lot, and not only financially, but also psychologically, because you kind of know that in case something happens, your skills are still valuable and needed, and there are different ways and different channels that you can earn from it. Although keep in mind that if you have a working visa in the country, sometimes there are restrictions on the freelance work. So check the limitations of your visa. Step number 6, my favorite one, is to take care of your mental health to stay resilient, because losing a job is emotionally draining for everyone. And here are the things that you can do to help yourself. This is important, okay? Job loss is not a personal failure. Many professionals go through that. It happens to a lot of people, and it does not make you less of an expert than you are. And the sooner you accept this, the more anxious hours and days you will save for yourself, and you will not get into a panic mode. Also, looking for a job is not the nicest thing to do. And a lot of people are getting burned out during the process of a job search. So to avoid that, you need a very strict daily routine with the rules of the game, how many hours you invest into the job search. And if anxiety is getting overwhelming, which also happens and also normal and also fine, you can limit the doom scrolling, because the more you read about the layoffs, it doesn't really help you. Or you can talk to a friend, or consider a therapy or a coaching session or a supporting groups to help you fight with this pressure and the job search anxiety, which, by the way, happens to much more people than you expect. Try to reframe this time period as an opportunity. For example, think about all of the things you loved and all of the things that you actually hated about your previous job. Is there a chance for you to use this moment to pivot into something better? What career direction would make you happier in the long term? And it doesn't mean you should stay positive all the time. It's not about that. It's about giving yourself a permission to see a new opportunity in the situation that you found yourself in. Stay social and keep moving forward. Don't isolate yourself. Keep social connections, keep being connected to people who empower you, who lift you up, who help you. Acknowledge small wins. I applied for 5 jobs today, I learned a new skill, things like that matter. And keep the perspective. Many people bounce back stronger after layoffs. Mindset matters. Stay focused, take a good care of yourself, and keep going. And if you are scared of networking, I recently actually forced myself to do 30 days of networking. So if you want to watch me struggle for some reason, or maybe for some networking inspiration, check this video out if you like. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you there.